Tonight we're going to talk about exploring the depths of meditation. Now, if I was if I was a smart ass, I would call it spiritual spelunking. But luckily, I'm not. So I'm an OG. Maybe you are too. Do you remember way back in the late 80s, everybody was just tossing back Mountain Dew and trying to become an adrenaline junkie? Well, not everybody, but a lot of people. I had two pals. Let's see, one was named Dave and the other was named Howard. And first they started cliff jumping. And when that got tame, they decided to become cave explorers or spelunkers. And I visited Howard one day and began looking at some of the literature he was poring over. And dude, that is some perilous, perilous stuff. And a lot of people are scared to meditate, and rightfully so. They're scared that stuff is going to come up and they're not going to know how to deal with it. They are concerned that they will have to confront emotions they're not comfortable with. Emotions perhaps they thought they were far above, or emotions that they thought they had worked through already. Dark intentions might come up, pathetic intentions might come up, thoughts could come up, memories could come up, literal exact memories. Imagination could go some places you weren't familiar with. And sometimes imagination and memory blend and you have something called confabulation. Now, this can seem daunting. This could seem deeply unsettling. We live in a culture that has an unhealthy perspective of mental health. And when people struggle with certain thoughts or emotions or intentions or memories or imaginings, they're sometimes given just dreadful, dreadful advice. Allow me to remind you of what your therapist should have told you, what a neuroscientist can tell you. If you try to use your prefrontal cortex to think your way out of painful or disturbing emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, or imaginings, you will exhaust your prefrontal cortex, which could which could present with the symptoms of depression. I would not recommend that. Fortunately, we evolved to have an autonomic nervous system. Every time we inhale, we are wired to notice things thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, to notice things vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Control freaks don't want to hear that, but that is how we are wired. Every time we exhale, we are wired to access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is wired for physical relaxation and mental release. I don't care how angry you are. When you relax in harmony with your exhalation, which we are already wired to do all the time, you can't lose your temper. If you hold your breath, you can lose your temper. But when you choose vulnerability as you inhale and relaxation as you exhale, you can't do the bad thing. You can't indulge the bad emotion. You can't indulge the malicious intention. You can't indulge the dark thought. It's an impossibility. No. Vulnerability and relaxation will not erase your past. But it could help you to process your past. So your past feels more like your past and less like your present. When your past feels like your present, that is trauma. And you cannot think your way out of it. You have to process it. I look forward to meditating with you and to explore these instructions in greater detail in just a minute or two. Actually, in less than a minute. But join me now for a bit of the old housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I have spent more than 30 years working full-time, studying, practicing, and then reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of Buddhism, so you won't have to. I play the Yoda to your Luke Skywalker so that you can easily and quickly become the person that your dog already thinks you are. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. As promised, we now prepare for meditation. We don't need rituals to meditate. We don't need prayers to meditate. But just as a runner just as a sprinter has a visceral reaction to the sound of a starter's pistol or to the sight of a finish line, I found that many people who come to these live streams need to put their meditation in like a bento box, and so we'll do that. We'll start with just 2 short recitations of empathy and enthusiasm. The fancy word for this would be bodhicitta and refuge. Our first recitation is more literal, and we're setting it to the triplet chant together. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on thee, Buddha's example, instructions, and students. So this isn't prayer. These are just words we play with to exercise the neural pathways responsible for empathy and enthusiasm. Consider, if you will, these 3 highlighted words. They're so useful that they've earned the metaphoric nickname of the 3 wish-fulfilling jewels, which are mentioned in our final pre-meditation recitation, which is more concise and more figurative, and it's set to the bookend chant together. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. I see this little square here. I have no idea what it is. It's just hanging around. Like that punk song from the late 70s, just hanging around. So, let's briefly review these meditation instructions. And I can promise you that within 15 minutes, you'll know everything you need to know to become a Buddha, to master meditation. Mindfulness and meditation are known by many names, such as Zen, Proto-Zen, Shan, Dhyana, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Ati-yoga, Dzogchen, and Trekchen. Now, these are very, very fancy words, but the techniques are super easy. Let's begin with mindfulness. As I mentioned during class, every time we inhale, we inadvertently access our sympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the ribcage region of our spinal cord. It evolved not to support active concentration, but instead to support a simple perception. Perception that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. As is inferred by the inhalation's 12-syllable recitation, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. There's a myth that our minds aren't supposed to move. Dude, that's how people get eaten by giant predators 100,000 years ago. We are descendants of the twitchy bastards who noticed everything. And the moment they heard the footfall of a predator, they were out of there. We are their descendants. What are some of the antics of mind? Due to its sensory organs, mind can see, hear, feel, taste, and smell, and the like. Internally, mind can emote, intend, reason, recall, and imagine. Now, that's a whole armful of stuff. How do we are supposed to manage this stuff? What are we supposed to do with this stuff? Well, we're supposed to meditate, but how does that work? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system. Ensconced within the lumbar region as well as the cervical region of our spinal cord. It evolved to help us to both physically relax as well as mentally release. As is explored in Exhalation's 12-syllable recitation, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. So I've got some good news for you. It's not our job to rigidly and superstitiously believe that mind is literally non-graspable. Nor is it our job to pseudo-intellectually try to convince ourselves or others that mind is literally non-graspable. Way back in 4th grade, they should have taught us that not all statements are literal. Many are figurative. Similes and metaphors and statements hyperbolic. And so, this is how it works. Every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation can now feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. It could feel as if it was as non-graspable as the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless day, which, although is compelling to the eye, no matter how intensely we reach, we never pull down a handful of blue. Therefore, it's literally, the sky is non-graspable. And so this idea of non-graspability is the shrub from which the roses of other metaphors grow. Metaphors like emptiness, metaphors like birthlessness, but metaphors like deathlessness, metaphors like selflessness. If we take those things literally, our heads are going to explode. If we look at them figuratively, then when the Buddha promised in the tail end of the Satipatthana Sutta that we could accomplish enlightenment in as little as a week, that seems much more possible. Now, if at any point during the remainder of the live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, type your question in great detail in the chat window. Now, together as a team, let's meditate as transformatively as Obi-Wan Kenobi upon the toasty sands of Tatooine under the guidance of the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite this first 12-syllable recitation. As we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite the second 12-syllable recitation. We're only going to do this for a few breaths. Think of this as like training wheels. The kid, I had a bicycle with 2 training wheels on it. Right now, I'm sure you did too. Right now, let's take off the first training wheel and jump down to just 3-syllable exercises. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite, "Notice this." And as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite, "Relaxing." So I've just experimented with adding Star Wars oriented meditating Jedi watermarks. If you feel the watermarks make it impossible to read the words on the screen, let me know in the chat window. Our job is not to repress the various things that could come up in meditation, whether they are sight, sounds, sensations, flavors, or scents, or whether they are emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, or imaginings. Our job is to profit from these energies, this momentum. So if a memory comes up, you could play with the words recollect, relaxing. Oopsie, relaxing. If those recollections make you feel emotions, emotion, relaxing. If we begin to feel physical sensations, whether they are pleasurable or whether they are painful, sensation, relaxing. Once again, this isn't to push away the experience, it is to embrace the experience. If you start imagining, imagine relaxing. We can now shed our final training wheel and transition from the 3-syllable technique to the 1-syllable technique. When it comes to physical sensations, we'll use the noun form. When it comes to emotional sensations, we'll use the verb feel. When it comes to memories, we'll use the preposition then. And when it comes to imagination, we'll use the verb dream. When you begin to experience a light show behind your eyes, that's neither good nor bad, it simply is. You can use the phrase see ease. When you become super aware of ambient noise, hear ease. And now, together as a team, let's chant one verse from the Song of Enlightenment. Together. Ignore the twigs and look for the root, the jewel of the moon in pure aquamarine. Quasi-spiritual trivial paves not the path of enlightenment. Together. Once you grasp this wish of filling pearl, It's hope to you and others never ends. The mental yoga of mounting, noticing, and relaxing upon our inhalations and exhalations is as effective at bestowing peace and love as if it were the magical, wish-fulfilling jewel of war. I check for questions once every 8 or 9 minutes. Together. Moon on the river, wind in the pines. Why is the sky so clear all night? Living in opposition to the workings of our Buddha nature makes of our life a living hell. Surrendering to the mindfulness of our sympathetic nervous system and the meditation of our parasympathetic nervous system makes of our life a heaven on earth. Could that be why Thich Nhat Hanh insisted that the Pure Land is now or never? Hmm. The pearl of the moon and nature precepts marks the mind. Mist and clouds shroud the body. The essence of all vows is simply love's kind communication, kind conduct, and kind commerce. For although the author of this text may be so poor that his only robes are merely the mist and cloud, the habit of yielding to the mindfulness, meditation, and kindness that are his Buddha nature make him rich in the manner most important. Under the influence of folly, one might view monastic robes as emblematic of importance. However, in the thrall of our Buddha nature, they could feel as non-graspable and common as mist or cloud. Let us seal this evening's meditation with a bit of the old chanting, beginning with kind ethics and concluding with the 4 immeasurables. Whoops, that's weird. Huh. That really is. Oh, that's what's going on. Okay. Wow, it's just bizarro, isn't it? Huh. Okay. Let's adjust this bad boy. There we go. Okay, let's chant. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness, the spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel if you so desire. In approximately 11 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.